Records of the Unknown, Operation Latency, contains horror elements that may be disturbing to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
You are listening to an Atomic Broadcasting production, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the feature presentation. And remember, do your part, such as like, comment, rate, and don't forget to tell a friend to tune in for an Atomic Time.
Hello, welcome to Operation Latency, Season 2 of Records of the Unknown. I am Sam, I am once again your handler tonight, and we're going to take a moment before we get started just to say who all's here. Who should be familiar to everyone listening to this episode is Abby.
Hello.
Yes, you're here again.
I am.
Our only returning player from Season 1.
Also the only female.
That's true.
Tends to be a trend.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
And the other guy talking here, you might know if you've listened to the 3 random episodes on this Variety Hour channel, the Pathfinder Dragon one-shot, Nolan.
Yes, hi, it is me again. Good to be back. Fun to be here.
Reintroduce yourself a little bit for the audience who might not have heard you before.
It's true. I'm not usually around here right now. I'm not part of the main group. I am Nolan. I'm good friends with these guys. It's good to be here, and I'm excited to see what Sam has cooked up for us.
Me too.
I'm scared.
And then we have one brand new voice.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
This is...
Hi, I'm Stephen Harrel, or you'll most likely know me as Harrel, because I'm the other Stephen, which is why the Stephen you're more familiar with is known as Sven most of the time. Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
That's great to have you. There's a lot of Stevens in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
but you're the Harrelist.
I sure am.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a lifelong nerd. I've been into role-playing games for pretty much as long as I can remember. I primarily, my go-to game is Dungeons & Dragons. I've been a DM for a group consistently for about 7 years. First time playing Delta Green, I'm very excited to be a part of this and see what kind of horrors you're going to unleash upon me.
And unleash them I shall, hopefully, maybe. We'll see what happens. With that, we're gonna get into this. Abby and Steven, if you guys will leave the room, we'll get started.
Ooh.
A folder of papers lands against the table. A man in a black suit, red tie, with a CIA badge on his jacket, takes a seat in a small interrogation room with a mirror on the side of the room. The man sits and gets adjusted, opens up his folder, and says, "Good morning.
Good morning to you, too.
I hope you're all prepared for the proceedings today."
Well, since in my experience, it's hard to really be prepared for everything as I've seen it. Try your best, but yes, we'll see what you have.
And what does this man look like, Nolan?
This fellow is middle-aged. I'd say he's gone a bit gray earlier than most others, although good. He's, like I said, middle-aged. He's in his late 40s. Keeps a clean cut, clean shaven, and he's wearing nice, not decked out in a tux, but he's wearing like a nice tweed jacket. Keeps on a simple button-up shirt underneath. No tie on at this point. But again, not super casual, but also not overly fancy.
So we will just be going over a few simple questions before we're able to clear you for the mission.
Oh yes, of course.
What is your name?
I am Dr. Sylvester Steele.
Doctor, where'd you go to school?
Well, I got my medical degree in Cambridge University.
I hear good things. What is your age?
I am 48 now. fastly approaching the 50s.
Do you have any family?
Yes, I do. I have a darling wife and a son that's just recently become, a quiet adult himself. I still see him quite often, but he's got a good head on his shoulders.
What made you agree to work with the program?
Oh, well, I've seen quite a few. I've seen a bit of trauma in my experience before I learned more of the nature of things. Kind of happened rapidly one night, of course, when I learned more truth of the matter. And, well, since I've seen that, I've done what I can to protect my own from the true dangers of this world.
And why are you a surgeon?
Oh, well, in living my life, I was always able to, raised in a good family, had a good amount of money to do well for themselves. Thought I'd take what advantages I had to do what I could to help others. Of course, in my time, seeing the amount of bloodshed that came to us in the Great War, and then, of course, the Second World War, I've seen too much bloodshed in my time, so I do my part to staunch the flow.
I see. Why do you think you were chosen by the program?
Medical expertise, certainly. Always need a good doctor to help take care of the team in dire situations. To bring this knowledge to any new findings certainly help.
I see. What do you think of the 1947 Roswell event?
Certainly is a curious instance. It was hard to make heads or tails of it. Certainly, there was no reports that I saw on it. Of course, that kind of kept divided. But I always looked out for dangers among us. I never thought about looking to the stars.
Oh, do you believe the Roswell incident has something to do with life outside of the Earth?
With what few things I've seen already, turns out life can be quite strange among us as it is. I suppose it shouldn't be too surprising that there could be life beyond us.
Interesting. If you were in a scenario and you were forced to choose between information vital to this country's safety or the life of a fellow agent, which would you choose?
That'd certainly be a tough call. Of course, I would want to do everything I could to safeguard the life of a team member, but if it really came down to the choice, I think I would have to determine for the information. Again, would prefer to stop as much bloodshed as I've seen, but if one life is what it takes to stop more, then I suppose that's a heavy option to take.
A heavy option. Would it change anything if you had been ordered to retrieve this information specifically?
I suppose, even if it's my hand that must act to do it, at least someone else forcing the call of trusted authority would help ease a guilty conscience.
What if instead of an agent, it was your mother?
Oh. That's such a heavy burden. She was always a good mother, but I think I would have to still choose the information, of course.
What if it was your wife?
Oh, I would hate to do that to Dottie. I don't know if I could do it to her.
What about your child?
Oh, certainly not Robert. He has so much ahead of him, such a bright future. If I could at least make sure that he goes on a little bit longer, I would safeguard his life as much as I could. Give my own, if that was an option.
Interesting. Have you had any significant injuries?
Oh, well. Certainly in my time, I've taken a bit of shrapnel in my right leg. Makes it a little bit difficult to walk, of course. I do have this cane. Some days it's easier than others, but I'm still able to get around and do my job well enough. My hands are still rather steady.
Nolan, when you finish saying that answer, would you roll me a power check?
Rolling a power check, so that is
A D100.
and then under the times 5 of my power.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, but I just barely don't make it. I rolled a 78 over 75.
As Dr. Steele finishes saying that, you hear a slight tapping at the mirror. The interviewer kind of shifts a bit and is like, I would remind you that we expect all of these answers to be truthful, Dr. Steele.
Apologies, yes. No. My injuries never were more than really just scars. I did take a piece of strap on my leg, but being a good doctor that I was able to remove it without much more than a limp for a few days. At this point, I'm not sure why I keep the appearances. I suppose I think I look more sophisticated with it.
Sophisticated. Interesting. What is your fondest memory that you can recall?
That'd be the day my son was born. Yeah. You always hear stories, of course, from, people that become parents and saying how much it changes their lives. That you never really grasp the scope of it until you become a father yourself.
What is your worst memory?
I think the worst memory might be when the nightmare of this truth started. When unknowing at the time, a few agents showed up with a mysterious case needing urgent help. Never quite slept the same after that day.
Very few do. Do you have any hobbies?
I do. I keep a small garden out in our lawn. I understand, of course, in my medical practice that we see many advancements in pharmaceuticals in these years, but there's always a good trick with some natural herbs that those that studied can apply.
For these next few questions, let's keep our answers very brief. Just quick. Do you drink?
Only on the weekends.
How do you sleep?
Not well anymore.
How do you feel about blood?
I've seen plenty of it. Certainly gotten plenty on my hands, although not by my own ill deeds, but to save those I could. I'm not squeamish about blood, but I certainly prefer to stop the flow.
Do you have any birthmarks?
No notable birthmarks.
Nationality?
I'm a citizen of the United Kingdom.
How do you feel about the Soviets?
They certainly were decent allies for a time. Helped us to make it through the end of the war, sacrificed many good lives for that, but I don't know, things have seemed a bit tense lately.
Tense. You've mentioned the war quite a bit. What is your general feeling on war?
A horrible thing. It's quite funny. I was a bit young for the Great War. I never got drafted for that. And by the time the Second World War came, I was a bit old and already a trained doctor. Then I served what I could in the attacks.
I'll remind you to keep your answers brief.
Sorry.
Do you think you're attractive?
I'm not sure I see it myself. I've been told I look quite good for my age.
Where were you born?
I was born in Chester, UK.
Any allergies?
No, none.
Date of birth?
May 13th.
Relaxing day at a beach or a day at a cabin in the woods?
Day at the beach.
Height?
5'7".
Weight?
153 pounds.
Any tattoos?
No, none.
How would you describe your relationship with your wife, Dottie?
Oh, well. We've been together for about 25 years now. Our relationship was always felt stable and safe. We were quite good to each other. We were smitten when we were young.
How about your son, Robert?
Oh, Robert, he's a quite sharp one. I've certainly mentored him in how best to conduct himself through life. I think he's taken the lessons rather well. I certainly hope I've been a decent enough father to him.
Now, how do you feel the relationship is with Eliza? Your partner, if you will.
I suppose I shouldn't be surprised that you guys have such good information on that. Eliza is certainly exciting. She's rather perceptive as well. In the time she did work in my office, she could tell rather well what ailed the patients before I saw them, but like I said, she's rather exciting.
He pulled up another folder. Well, we always take a moment to see what those in your life think a bit about you. We queried these 3 people in your life. It looks like Dottie said about you. He always cared for any person he came across. I know others see him as rather gruff, but I've never known a more tender man.
Dottie.
Interesting. Robert said that father was always a stern man, but he meant well. I certainly wouldn't be where I am today without his guidance. Eliza said that Dr. Steele has a wild side most wouldn't know. She believes you are making up for lost time spent rigorously training as a doctor. It is interesting. Who hurt you the most in your life, Dr. Steele?
Raising kids, it's always a bit rough whenever they start to get into their teenage years. I've certainly heard him, as he said I was stern, I've certainly heard him yell more than a few times how much he hated me, but I think he's come out at the end better for it.
If you lost control of your arm and it begins moving on its own, what would you do?
I suppose I would do my best to wrestle control of it with my other arm, pin it, brace it, do what I could to stop it from moving. I suppose if there's no way of lashing it to a solid piece to keep it from being mobile, then, and how drastic it is, I suppose I would have to.
Answer's brief, Doctor.
Apologies.
What is your favorite animal?
Puffins.
What's your favorite area of mathematics?
Suppose geometry.
What noises do you hate?
The roar of planes, engines, whistling as they're coming.
Any particular noise that soothes you?
Waves along the coastline.
If you had to shoot Dottie or Eliza, which would you shoot?
I would shoot Eliza.
Cold or hot?
Hot.
Lighthouse at the shore or a mountain retreat?
Lighthouse.
If you were given the death penalty, what would be your last meal?
I would have beans with toast and a good chocolate pudding.
How will you die?
Unknown.
That's good. What do you think of freedom?
Freedom is fought for, bled for. You have to respect the freedom afforded us to this very day.
What are your feelings towards German expatriates?
There can be bad apples in any bunch. I don't blame all of them.
Do you believe in magic?
No, there certainly must be an explanation.
Would you eat a friend if needed to?
No, that's ridiculous.
Do you have any superstitions?
Suppose don't cross the path of a stray black cat. It's bad luck for the hour, but I've heard that if you make it a friend, you have good luck for the day.
What is normal to you?
I don't know anymore.
Blood starts dripping from the ceiling onto your hand. What do you do? How do you react?
Investigate the source of it. Move myself away from the dripping and then look up.
For a second, before he begins his next question, you feel a drip, but see nothing. Do you believe you deserve a normal life?
I would love to have a normal life, but no, I don't think that I do.
This is giving me a lot to think about. I'll be back shortly. And he slides his chair back, stands up, starts to walk away, and then stops for a second. Before I go, and he pulls out a piece of paper. What do you see here? And he holds up an ink blot.
Blood splatter on a clean linen.
Blood splatter on a clean linen. And what? What about this one? How does it make you feel? What do you see?
I feel uncomfortable. I see uncontrolled growth, like a plant too big for its pot.
Thank you. He steps out of the door and closes it behind him. 10 minutes pass. You are still seated alone. 20 minutes pass. You're still seated alone.
Am I hearing anything going on outside? Are there any office shuffling or voices outside the room?
Seems completely silent.
And there's nothing in here but me and the chair and the table and the mirror.
Yep.
I suppose I'll just be looking into the mirror, kind of still contemplating questions I was asked, memories that they brought up.
20 more minutes pass.
Dr. Steele will have gotten up, kind of goes over to the door. Is there a window in the door?
No.
Or is it a solid door?
Solid door.
And there's no other, mirrors in the walls or no other windows in here?
No, nothing.
Okay. Try the handle on the door.
It's unlocked.
Slowly open up and kind of ask,
Well, as you open the door, the man is standing there.
Oh.
Says, you're ready. Let's head out, please.
Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
And then we'll fade away from you to another. There's a ticking clock. Consistent tick, 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 tick. Hanging above a mirror in a small interrogation room. The man puts down his folders, pulls back his chair and sits down, and begins speaking to the woman across from the table. We'll keep this fairly brief, so if you would try to keep your answers concise. What is your name?
Bernadette Bellamy, but I go by Birdie.
All right. What is your age?
39.
Do you have any family?
Yeah. Do you want specifics, or is this a yes or no sort of situation?
Is that important to you?
It's complicated.
I see. Why did you agree to join the program?
I just want to help people. Delta Green helped me, so I thought maybe I could help others the way they did for me.
Is that why you think you were chosen, to help people?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm a pretty good pilot. I guess that's a reason.
A good pilot. Why did you decide to do that?
I fell in love with it when I was a kid. To explore the sky. Defying gravity. It's almost an adrenaline rush.
Interesting. Tell me, what do you think of the 1947 Roswell event?
The what?
All right. Have you had any significant injuries?
I'm pretty sure I broke my leg when my plane was shot down. But, that's the only thing I can think of.
Do you have any hobbies outside of piloting, if you would qualify that as a hobby.
I guess stargazing? The sky is completely different at night. It shifts and it changes. It's more of a mystery than during the day when everything's clear.
Where were you born?
San Francisco, California. But we moved when I was a kid, so...
Where did you move to?
Texas.
Texas. How do you feel about the Soviets?
I think they're dangerous.
Dangerous. How do you feel about blood?
I don't like seeing it. I've seen my blood. I've seen other people's blood. I've seen more of it than I want to. I prefer to stay inside bodies where it belongs.
Interesting. If you were forced to choose between information vital to this country's safety or the life of a fellow agent, which would you choose?
I guess I'd choose the safety of this country if it came down to it.
Would it make it easier if you were ordered to?
I suppose.
What if it was your mother?
If
Instead
I
of
was
an agent?
saving my mother,
Between your mother or the information?
so she looks conflicted. Like she can't find the right answer in that. She keeps going like back and forth between no, I'd save my mom, or no, I'd save the country. Just her eyes shifting from side to side like she can't decide.
Do you drink?
Not much.
How do you sleep?
I mean, pretty well for the most part. I mean, I have the occasional, nightmare about when I was captured.
Do you think you're attractive?
I don't know how to answer that. I guess I see myself as average.
What is your opinion on war?
Sometimes it's necessary. I don't think anyone wants war, but sometimes it has to happen.
Height?
5'4".
Weight?
Don't you know you never ask a woman her weight?
He stares at you.
145.
Any tattoos?
No.
Relaxing day at beach or day at a cabin in the woods?
I guess a cabin in the woods. Secluded and quiet.
Any allergies?
Not that I know of.
Describe your relationship with your fiancé, Richard.
He keeps me grounded, so to speak. My head's always up in the clouds, so he's something that pulls me back down to the earth, I guess. He never complains about all the flight training, although I'm sure he wishes I was home more. But I honestly don't know what I'd do without him. He's more than I deserve.
Would you describe your pilot instructor, Hank Henshaw?
Hank. Yeah, he taught me everything that I know. He was a friend of my father's, and I'd ask him questions every time he came by about the planes that he flew. What the sky was like, what it was like looking at the earth from up there. And when I was old enough, he actually offered to take me, just on a small flight. Nothing much. And my mother was very apprehensive about it, and she eventually relented, but he ignited a passion that became an addiction.
I see here that you listed you were saved from imprisonment by a Delta Green agent.
Yeah,
What did you think of that person?
I mean, they saved my life. I was in a Nazi camp, shot down for just happened to fly close to where they were. I thought I was going to die in there. And then I see, I don't know, a friendly face. And they took me out of there. Can you ever describe fully how you feel about someone saving your life?
Why were you flying over that area?
I was just doing some flight training, and I saw something strange, and curiosity got the best of me, so I altered course and went to see what it was. I guess I got too close and they shot me down.
Unfortunate. We reached out to these people for some words about you, and I'm going to share them with you. He pulls out another folder. Richard Finley told us that you're bold, daring, focused, headstrong, that you can get a little carried away, but you mean well. He said she should be finishing up piloting soon. I'll get to have her home a bit more. It's not like I don't like what she's doing, just wish I got to spend more time with her. But the wedding's coming up soon, I hope. She's amazing, and he feels very lucky to be in your life. Hank Henshaw said that you have your head on straight, you know your way home, and are an excellent pilot, and that we would be lucky to have you on our team. We reached out to the Delta Green agent that found you imprisoned. This is what he had to say. She has it. I saw it in her eyes. Desperation turned into fear, turned into hatred. She probably feels the guilt, the self-doubt, the self-loathing. She's strong. Did you know that fish often see colors that we are completely unaware of? How does it make you feel about the world?
I guess there's more out there than we are aware of. Because I didn't know that. It's just more to explore, more to find out.
Someone begins following you down a dark street. What do you do?
I try to see if there's anyone else around, or if I'm the only one there. And, if I am, then I'd like to think I'd turn around and confront them. Ask them what they want. If worse comes to worse, then I try to defend myself.
What is your lighthouse?
Like, what gives me direction?
Depends on how you look at the question, I suppose.
I guess my lighthouse would be home. Because I can always find my way home, no matter where I am.
Have you ever seen a dead body?
Yes.
How does it make you feel?
Very aware of my own mortality.
Claustrophobia or heights?
Claustrophobia. I live in the sky. I can't be afraid of heights.
I see. Do you have any superstitions?
I guess I have one when it comes to my plane. Before every takeoff, there's a moment of uncertainty. Even though you've gone down the checklist and make sure everything is in order and that, you've done all these steps to make sure that, the engine turns over, there's a chance that it may not. So, to make sure that, it does, I kiss my fingers and then touch all the gauges. I know it probably sounds ridiculous, but, it's never failed.
What are your feelings towards German expatriates?
I'd be suspicious of their intentions. I know not everyone in Germany is a Nazi, but as someone who's been imprisoned in a Nazi camp, I'm a little suspicious of people with a German accent.
What is normal to you?
Everyday life. Waking up with a roof over your head. Coffee in the kitchen.
Do you deserve a normal life?
I feel like everyone does. Some sense of normalcy, at least.
If you had to shoot that Delta Green agent or your fiancé, who would you shoot?
I'd have to shoot the Delta Green agent.
I see.
If it came down to it, I'd save Richard.
Understandable, I suppose.
She kind of has like a cold look and like almost like a cold, deadly look in her eye when she says that.
Here are 8 colors. And he starts handing you little things. Blue, green, red, yellow, violet, brown, black, and gray. Would you please rank them in order of preference?
So she takes a minute and ranks the colors. Blue, green, violet, yellow, red, gray, brown, black.
Very interesting. And he pulls out 2 pieces of paper. I'd like you to tell me something. What do you see here? He holds up an ink blot.
My first instinct was a butterfly.
A butterfly?
Yeah.
Butterfly. When I show you this, how do you feel?
Uncertain.
What do you see?
Chaos. It doesn't make any sense.
Thank you. I'll return shortly. And gets up, grabs all his stuff together, and leaves the room.
Okay.
10 minutes pass. Just you and the ticking. Another 10 minutes pass. 20 minutes pass.
She's probably getting a little antsy, just staring at the clock. Starts drumming on the table with her fingers.
Another 20 minutes pass. A full hour has gone.
She's standing up and pacing the room.
Would you roll me a power check?
Yeah. 45 under 50.
45 under 50. Okay. More time continues to pass. Another 20 minutes.
I'll just sit down in the corner of the room.
At this point, beneath the door, several lights flash. Another 10 minutes pass. And then the door begins to open and the lights go away. He walks in. He looks down at you. And he says, let us go, shall we? And we cut to black. We hear the sound of a jackhammer through several layers of walls. You're in a small interrogation room, one mirror, and you hear the consistent sounds of construction outside. The door opens, and a man walks in. Envelopes put on the table. The man takes a seat. He looks across at him and sees...
He's about 6'2", very muscular, well-built man. He's wearing an army military uniform, His hair is a little bit longer than regulation, as well as the stubble on his face would definitely not be regularly accepted in the military, but that's what he looks like. And he's sitting with one leg kind of crossed over the other, and he's holding a lit cigarette.
We'll try and keep the questions and answers brief, concise, if you will. What is your name?
I'm Corporal Alexander Adams.
Your age?
35.
Do you have any family?
Yes. Wife and daughter.
Why did you agree to join the program?
Because I saw some things during the war, and if stuff like that's out there, I want to make sure it doesn't hurt anybody.
Is that why you serve in the military?
Yes. I joined, I volunteered to fight the Nazis, but I stayed because I wanted to continue to protect people.
Is that why you think you were chosen? You're good at protecting people?
I don't know if I'm good at it, but I try.
What do you think of the 1947 Roswell event?
Well, before the war, I would have said it was a bunch of bull. But these days, I don't know anymore.
Interesting. Have you had any significant injuries?
I took a bullet to my right shoulder during the invasion of Normandy, but wasn't too serious.
Any hobbies now?
Army keeps me pretty busy. Not a lot of time for hobbies.
How do you feel about blood?
I've seen a lot of it. Doesn't really faze me much.
If you were forced to choose between information vital to this country's safety or the life of a fellow agent, which would you choose?
I prioritize the safety of this country.
What if it was between the information or your wife, Elaine?
Elaine and I aren't really on good terms, so that's not really a difficult choice for me to make.
Your daughter, Sarah?
Now that's a different story. I'd do anything for her.
Relaxing day at a beach or a day at a cabin in the woods?
I'll take the cabin.
Any allergies?
No.
Where were you born?
Dayton, Ohio.
Any tattoos?
Yeah, I got several. It's pretty normal for somebody in my profession. I've got a few on my shoulder, a couple to cover that scar that I got from the bullet wound.
Where would you take someone on a first date?
Elaine and I went on a picnic. So I guess picnic.
Any education?
I graduated high school before I joined the Army, and then I learned a lot after. Nothing formal.
You mentioned your wife, Elaine, and you are not on the best of terms. Would you describe your relationship with her?
Strained. I was a different man when I came back from the war, and she didn't really take too well to that.
What about your relationship with your daughter, Sarah?
I'd say that's good, but I don't get to see her as often as I'd like.
I see here you often go to an Alcoholics Anonymous group. How is your time with them?
I first thought it was a bunch of bull. How could talking about my feelings and meeting once a week with all these different guys gonna help me with my problems, but it's surprisingly useful. They're a good group of guys.
How would you describe your relationship with the squad you led in the war?
I'd die for any of those men. They'd do the same.
We reached out to these individuals in your life to see how they felt of your relationships. Your wife Elaine told us that you've changed. Different. Not the man she married. But that you're certainly loyal to your job. Your people. She says you're getting better, or so she hears. She says you are a broken man pretending to be strong, and that she hopes you get well for Sarah's sake. Your daughter Sarah says you're a hero, always out saving lives, always very busy, and that she hopes that when she's in danger, you come to save her too. But she's a little unsure. She doesn't know if you hear what happens to her at school, that the others aren't very nice. She hopes you come home soon, and she tells us that if we need your help, you'll probably save us. The Alcoholics Anonymous group told us you'd been growing a lot and getting better. You've seen a lot of challenges in your life, and that it took you some time to learn it, to accept it, but that you've become a growing man. We reached out to those we could from your squad in the war, and they sum it up about as you were a good leader, and if they ever needed you, you were there for them, and that they'll be there for you if you need them. How do you feel about the Soviets?
If you're asking me if I'm a communist, it's a hard no. But, honestly, I just see them as another threat, not much different than the Nazis.
Who hurt you the most?
Probably Elaine. She said some hurtful things the night we separated and took Sarah away from me.
What's your favorite animal?
I've always been a dog person. Loyal.
Any noises you hate?
Nothing that comes to mind.
Would you roll power for me?
Absolutely. 51 over 50.
You hear a slight tapping on the mirror. The man shuffles his papers a little bit. I would remind you to answer honestly.
After the war, sometimes loud noises startle me.
Do you believe in magic?
Similar to that other question you asked, if you had asked me 10 years ago, I would have said no. Now, I'd say probably yes.
If local enforcement was hostile towards you, how would you handle them?
Oh, I just have to remind them my rank and who's in charge.
If you're approached with something unknown, something that could damage you, how would you approach it?
Well, if bullets wouldn't work, I suppose I'd try to get myself and whoever I was with to safety, away, far away.
If you were given the death penalty, what would be your last meal?
Chicken pot pie.
What do you think of freedom?
It's one of the most important things in this world. It's what I went to war for.
If you had to shoot Elaine or Sarah, who would you shoot?
Elaine.
Claustrophobia or heights?
I was in the 101st Airborne. I was a paratrooper. Heights don't bother me. Claustrophobia.
Do you keep your promises?
Try to.
What do you regret?
I suppose it'd be how I treated Elaine and Sarah when I got home from the war. I really was a different man back then. I probably still am that man to some degree. But I'd like to blame the alcohol and the drinking, but I know I'm also to blame.
What are your feelings towards German expatriates?
They're to be treated with caution. But not every German was a Nazi.
What is normal to you?
These days, just doing my job.
Do you deserve to live a normal life?
No. Because of what I've seen, it's my job to ensure that others get to live a normal life.
What if you heard a loud bang? Like a tree falling. And as he's saying these, you kind of slightly hear these in your head. A child careening into a corner. A landmine. A plane crashing just outside.
You see him kind of freeze a little bit. I don't know.
Where did you serve?
I served in a lot of places. Like I said earlier, I was with the 101st. We were dropped behind enemy lines during the invasion of Normandy, and then we did various other missions and deployments throughout the war, usually behind enemy lines.
What did you see in the mountains?
At that, he really freezes. And after a minute, he takes a long drag from his cigarette. Don't you have that already?
I'd like to hear you say it.
During the last few months of the war, my platoon was moving through the Bavarian Alps to get into southern Germany. Our scouts reported some kind of building that wasn't previously reported on any of our reports or our maps or anything. My squad was chosen to check it out. It was snowing. It was a cold night. When we arrived, it was obvious it was some kind of Nazi facility, but it seemed abandoned. We moved in, and it continued to seem abandoned, though we did find some documents and some medical equipment. I couldn't tell you what any of it was for. One of my men, I think...
Corporal, I'm not interested in what you've written several times before. What did you see?
His hands start shaking a little bit. I don't know. It was big. It was fast. Something about it was just wrong.
Are you a coward?
No. I don't think so.
He reaches into his folder. I'd like you to look at this as he pulls out an ink blot. What do you see?
Butterfly.
When I show you this, how does it make you feel?
Uncomfortable.
What do you see?
Blood.
Blood. Interesting. Do you have a favorite color?
Green.
You ever had any suicidal thoughts?
You know that I do. If you've got the Army's reports.
Would you rather burn to death or freeze to death?
Burn. Be over faster.
So if I were to say you could drown instead, you'd still choose to burn?
No, I'd take drowning.
You'd take drowning.
Less painful, quicker than freezing.
Do you know how you're going to die?
None of us know.
Interesting. Thank you for your time. I'll be back shortly. And he slides his chair back, grabs all of his things, and leaves the room. Now it is just you, the construction noise, in an empty chair. 20 minutes pass, and there's nothing. We begin to hear louder noises from the construction crew. 5 more minutes pass, and it sounds like something large is dropped. Bang.
I flinch.
15 more minutes pass. More noises. Seems louder than before. Like it's in the very room with you. Over an hour has gone by now.
Put my cigarette out on the table, and assuming that the noise is still going, I'm kind of just sitting there with my hands over my ears, trying to shut it out.
You hear a gunshot from outside the door.
That I jump up, my chair falling to the floor. I reach under my arm where I've got my service pistol, and I pull it, and I point it at the door, and I'm shaking a little bit.
You hear a shriek. A familiar shriek.
I'm frozen, gun pointed at the door.
5 minutes pass. Gunshots. Continuous. Screaming. Multiple people. And then you hear the doorknob begin to turn. And as the door opens, all the noise stops. The man steps in. Are you ready?
I blink a few times. Look at my hands that are holding my gun. Yes, I'm ready.
Good.
And I holster it.
Let's go meet the others. The 3 of you are now together, sitting in a conference room. The door opens, and a different man steps in. This man's not quite as skinny, not bulky, but his hair is white, and he has a strong confidence as he walks in. And he looks to you all and he says, "Well, hello. It's nice to make your all acquaintances. It's good to see you all here. My name's Agent Lafayette. My friends call me L." And he smiles, and he's got a couple of golden teeth.
Nice to meet you, Agent.
Nice to meet you as well. So I'm glad the evaluation went over well with each of you. They seem to like you. I'm glad you could all come on such short notice. We haven't had a lot of time to think this one through. 2 months ago, we received a report from a botanist up in Alaska. She was studying some new kind of flora she found. Now, we didn't think too much of it at the time. Didn't think it was worth too much of our time to look into it. Of course, we kept an eye on it. There's always potentials. 2 weeks ago, the town doctor up there was found dead in her house. She gave the police a call up there. And when they found the body, the doctor described it as almost all the organs and body parts had worn themselves out to the point of consumption. The body seemed to have consumed itself to an extent, all except for his heart and his small intestines, which were in pristine condition. Now again, could be a lot of things. 3 days ago, a miner in that town died. In the mines, he died, fell over. Now that's not too uncommon in a mine, but again he shared the same symptoms. They described it again the same way, like it began to decay, like it had worn itself out to the point of self-destruction. In this case, all except for his right leg and his liver. Now, this was the big kicker for us. This man was a known alcoholic, but his liver was in pristine condition. The doctor said this was abnormal, as he has treated this man before for liver disease. So, with those two incidents, on top of this strange flora that's been shown there, we want to send you three up to the small town and take a look. Alaska is one of our bordering locations with the Soviets. We don't know if this is some matter of Delta Green's concern or a matter of national security. We'd like you all to determine what that is. It's a small town called Hervalin. It's a local name. They say it means land of the sick, or something like that. Fitting, I suppose. We've arranged a flight for you all up into Washington State. From there, Miss Bellamy here will be flying a seaplane out to that location for you all. And then the three of you can start your investigations. Now, this is a remote and isolated place. Electricity's new to them up there. It's a strong fishing town, as well as a mining town. They say that the nearest phone is 50 miles away in a sanitarium. So, here is a bit of my information. And he hands forward a little folder. If you need to get a hold of me, or have the means to do so, take that, Doctor.
Thank you.
You've got two assignments here. There's two things you always keep in mind on these missions. One, if you can bring anything back that has anything to do with this, you bring it back, no matter the cost. And two, you don't trust nobody else except your handler, and that would be me. Now, as I speak now, it is November 12th, 1952. What we've been told about these flora from the botanist's early results is that they're a nocturnal flora. She relates it more as a fungus almost, and they bloom at night. The way she worded it was they seem to emit a low level of radiation. Not very common for plants to do, so in that pack you'll find a couple of Geiger counters just to be safe. You might make use of them. That being said, you're about to enter your 3-month dock period up in Alaska. So I'd suggest you use some caution when walking around. We haven't gotten much word or conversation with the local authorities or anyone up there. This town doesn't even have a mayor or any leader. Dockmaster and the coal mine leader, those are probably the two best options. This is a small town about, last census that was taken, about 600 people. But it's spread out. Not a lot of people live too close to each other, except for near the fishing port.
Do you have names for those two men, Agent?
I do. The dockmaster's name is Ronald Stein. The man who owns the coal mine is Dan Haley. Now, we're not too sure what to expect out there, so take what you feel is necessary and head on out. Take your time, figure out what's going on, see if you can't meet with this botanist up there. You should be able to meet with this botanist. Her name is Henriette Bunsen. She should be able to give you some details. Now, on this mission, you three will be given fake badges for the CIA, as this is a matter of national security, homeland security. Your cover will be looking into that of the Soviets' involvement in this possible situation. Zoe of deaths. I don't know how the local sheriff's gonna handle it, but you just make sure you handle him.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Alright, that's good to hear, soldier. Well, the three of you can get acquainted, and you drive over to the airport. Make sure to give me a ring when you have the opportunity.
Yes, sir.
Yes, we will when we can.
All right. Good day. Good luck out there. You'll need it.
Thank you.
And then he gathers his stuff, gives one of you the keys to the car,
I'll take it.
and then he heads out. The three of you take your flight to Washington.
The doctor is uncomfortable during the whole flight.
Yeah, Corporal
Interesting.
Adams also kind of looks a little uncomfortable when the engines start.
Interesting.
You guys come down to the landing, and as you're heading into the airport, there's a man who seems to be waiting for you guys. And he kind of approaches and is like, "Hey, hello, hi, are you, Corporal Adams?"
That's me.
"Yes, I was told to expect you along with, government agents."
Yeah, they're with me.
Yes. I am Agent Steele.
Ah. Alright, hello.
Bernadette Bellamy.
It's great to meet you all. If you'll follow me, if you have an umbrella or something you might want, there's a really nasty storm going on outside right now, but I have your plane waiting for you.
Perfect.
So we're flying out in a storm.
Yeah, you guys step out into, like, the rain's really heavy, and he's like, "Yeah, the seaplane's waiting, it's ready, it should be good, even if, the weather gets a little bad. Still be good for a landing, still be good for everything you need." Do you guys, as you guys get closer to the plane, he's like, "Do you guys have a navigator? Someone? We have a map inside, so you should be able to find her Valen."
I had practice both with navigating and flying at the same time, so it shouldn't be a problem.
It's good. They paid a lot of money for this, so normally this would be a rental and I'd fly, but it's enough that she's all yours. Just bring her back is all I ask.
She'll come back in one piece, I promise.
Certainly hope so.
Don't worry. I've flown in worse, believe it or not.
Not as comforting as you think, but Miss Bellamy, my life is in your hands.
Alright. So the three of you hop into this plane. It's shifting around with all the waves. You start it up.
As everyone straps in and everything, you see Birdie look at all her gauges. She kisses her fingers and then touches each of the gauges, kind of in a ritual. And then she starts up the plane, kind of sighs in relief, and we head off.
Corporal Adams pulls out a soggy package of cigarettes and tries to light one. Takes him a few tries.
Dr. Sylvester Steele buckles up and perhaps tightens the belt a bit too tight, but he's just trying to sit in as tight as he can.
When Corporal Adams sees how uncomfortable the doctor is, he kind of eyes him, tries to pass him his cigarette.
Right.
Calm your nerves.
Take it between my fingers, and he says soggy, so I'm looking at it, it's kind of like drooping just slightly. I'm like, much appreciated. Yes. No. Also was trying to light it.
You boys are gonna be just fine. Just relax.
And then we go back to the dock. The camera hasn't moved. Just watch the plane go. Then we cut to black.
Thank you for listening to the Records of the Unknown Operation Latency. Records of the Unknown is an Atomic Broadcasting production. Delta Green is copyright of Arc Dreams Publishing. Operation Latency is not published or endorsed by Arc Dreams Publishing and is an original module created and run by Samuel Sarver. Our players are Nolan as Dr. Sylvester Steele, Abby as Bernadette Birdie Bellamy, and Harrel as Corporal Alexander Adams. Music in the show is from Monument Studios, as well as various artists. If you enjoy the show, be sure to subscribe or follow the Atomic Broadcasting Network on your favorite listening platform. If you want to stay in touch, you can follow us on our socials listed in the description. Join the community in our Discord server to be notified of future uploads and join in on the conversation of what's to come. Don't forget to like, comment, and tell a friend. And as always, have an atomic time.
I hate you right now. I really hate you, Sam.